Good morning, everybody. He spoke about behavior, he spoke about design. Uh, all I did was I made a toilet. Okay. And I'll take you through my journey very quickly. And I'll talk about both aspects. So, how many, just like to know the audience, how many people who are students? Oh, super. So, there's another insight for you. And how many of you studying design? Are baapre. So, how many of you studying engineering? You guys are useful. Okay. And okay, so I just want to do a quick experiment to get you in the zone, because Ashish has taken you to the eyewear zone. I want to get you to the toilet zone. Okay. So can we just close our eyes for 2 minutes? Okay. Yeah. Now I'm going to say a few things, and I want you guys to imagine something. Okay. Let's say you've just woken up. Okay. What is the first thing you do? Just imagine, don't say it. What is the first thing you do? Now, everybody has a morning ritual, right? And probably you get out of bed, you have a glass of water, or you have your, you go to the bathroom, you relieve yourself, then you wait for the right kind of pressure. You enter the bathroom door, you look at the mirror, or you use the toilet. Just take yourself through that whole journey, right? Everybody's got that? Everybody has... yeah, everybody's gone through their daily routine, and everybody has reimagined themselves every day like they do, like today morning, for example. Now, just be very mindful about it, okay? Just, do you remember which foot did you keep down? Probably not. Do you remember which side of the bed you got off? Do you remember the door opened in which way, or you turned on the light or you didn't turn on the light when you entered the bathroom? Did you put the tap first, or did you go directly on the toilet? What all did you do? Now let me just tell you that you did it very naturally, right? You are sitting in this, okay, now you guys can open your eyes. So yeah, so you walked into this room and you thought that there's a stage here and there are chairs there and you can just sit down because people are going to be talking here, right? Let's say if I arrange the chairs in a different way, probably you guys would be forced to sit in that particular way, right? So there are always products, there are always environments, and there are always users, and people behave like that. So that was the starting point of my hypothesis on this project, okay? I didn't mean to have a startup, honestly. I designed this product back in 2015 while I was studying with Ashish in the same college. He was my first guinea pig on that particular product. A lot of my friends from college I see here who've seen me carry it around, and it was just an experimentation. Oops. Yeah. So, I'm Satyajit Mittal. We both have the same style of presentation. You're going to bore people. So, my name is Satyajit Mittal, and I promise that you're going to have a shitty morning today, pun intended. A statutory warning I give before my presentations, because you're going to see some horrendous toilets. So probably I've spoiled lunch. Okay, so this is coming back. Do you know this, or what does it stand for? How many people know that? SDG. So this is one of the Sustainable Development Goals, and this is very famous. I'll tell you why. I'm loud enough. Yeah? Yeah, this is more convenient. So yeah. So this was very famous because this, how many of you know what this is called? Other than shitting in the open. It's called open defecation, right? And there was a lot of noise right now on 2nd October announcing that India is open defecation free. So where did it start? I'm just creating a setting. So about in 2014, there was a survey which said 450 million people defecated in the open. 450 million. That's bigger than some countries which are shitting outside in India. Can you just imagine? Yeah, exactly. So just imagine 450 million people went out of their day every day, sat in the open and came back home. So why do you, and this has been happening not only since 2014, but it has been happening for a long time. So why only did people wake up in 2014 and say, let's change this? What do you think happened? When people start realizing what the problem is, and it started with the Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, which was much earlier than 2014, which happened in 2011, but it didn't take off, right? Why did it not take off then, and why did they see and pose this as a big problem? So they thought, in 2011, they thought, we'll start Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan and we'll be like, let's make toilets for everyone, and we'll just calculate the number of toilets needed and we'll just make it for everyone. And then it didn't work out. Only in 2014 it started, because they realized in the 5 years before they failed, they realized that this was not the approach. Giving people didn't want a toilet. It was not aspirational. They didn't understand why they needed a toilet in their home and not defecate in the open. So the behavior change approach was adopted, looking at many other countries which have come out of open defecation or defecating in the open, and they researched why that happened. So behavior change approach focused on two things. One was the mindset. So there is an interesting exercise, which is called community-led total sanitation approach, CLTS. So if you just see here, this is fresh poop, okay, and there's a glass of water, and they get children in a circle, and they let that be out for about 15-20 minutes, and then they get people out. And what they do is they show that how flies sit on this, and then they sit on your drinking water, and that's what you're doing at home. And this is a 4-step process which is happening in villages, which was called pre-triggering. So the pre-triggering happened with the sarpanch going and saying, this is the problem. Then the second level of triggering happened with the DM coming in and saying, this is the problem in a particular village. Then post-triggering, they used to show studies of how many people have fallen ill in your household, and this was happening in rural India. So mainly, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was not picking up the trash and putting it in the dustbin. It was focused at building toilets in rural areas, and then subsidies that went along with it. So this was the approach that they thought that let's affect the mind of the user, and the user will start thinking. Second was infrastructure. Now, as you know that villages did not have access to sewage treatment plants, so you could not have your drain coming into your house and building. Just imagine 450 million, that means about 10 crore toilets to be built across India. The capital required to build 10 crore toilets, government gave a subsidy of 12,000 rupees. And imagine laying out the lines. Anybody watched the Inside Bill Gates' Mind, right? You saw that the problem he talks about is how do you get access to the sewage treatment plants in that. So that was also focused here. So they decided to go with a technology called Twin Pit. This is about 20 years old, founded by the founder of Sulabh. So this is called the Sulabh model, wherein what happens is they have a toilet, and then it goes to one pit for 3 years, and then post 3 years they shut this pit, there's a transmission box, and they switch this on. And after 3 years, they empty this out and it becomes manure, and the same thing that they keep doing. So this was primarily what was used as an infrastructure guideline to promote Swachh Bharat in villages. So this was the background. So I was, like I said, I was in college when I started designing this product, which was around end of 2015, and I didn't know anything about toilets, but I was like, what is the hype about? Why are people just going and ranting about toilets? I didn't know anything, and I was like, is that so important? And that's when I started studying about what all happens when people don't have toilets, especially women, and now there are movies being made about it. So I don't need to dive into it much. You know what the problems were. But this is now my story of how I got into it. So it started from a classroom project. Then there was a whole journey. Let me just speak to all the younger designers who are here, that from a project to a product had its own length of understanding how a product works, and then eventually building a company around it. So the product is called SquatEase. Sanotion Private Limited is my company. It's a design-focused innovation company. We design products for social good. We are a for-profit company, and we look at social problems and solving them through a disruptive way in association with World Toilet Org. So World Toilet Org is headed by Mr. Jack Sim. He is the founder of UN World Toilet Day. So he's a partner now who founded on 19th of November every year. So let me just take you through. Let's say everyone said we don't have toilets, let's build toilets, let's build everything, let's give people what they want, and then this is what happens, right? So my problem started with not toilets, but after toilets have been made, have you realized who was the user? Have you realized that he was shitting outside in the open for the last 30 years of his life or 25 years of his life, and you've given him a space which he knows nothing about, or any toilet etiquettes or usage? People didn't think of what would happen next. People always said, oh, you're defecating outside, right? So you gave them a toilet. Now what happens post you've given them a toilet? So I came across many toilets which were like this, and I was like, why would someone shit here? Like, how were they thinking when they entered a space? Didn't the toilet tell them that, squat in this particular way or sit in this particular way? Like that, I said, imagine what you did. You did it very naturally because it was an instinct that you have. So we surveyed a lot of people, and a lot of people actually said we squat the other way around, looking at the hole. And I was so surprised. So I said, probably they didn't know what was happening. Then I thought to myself, which is better, this versus this, at least for the experience of the user. Then I was like, some people said, oh, let's give them a modernized toilet, and then the user responded with this, squatting on, because this is what the user is trying to tell you. Listen, my habits are like that. You give me whatever, I will use it the way I have been using it for my entire life. And you can't change that. It's very difficult to change that, because nobody's going to come into you with the toilet and say, okay, don't do it this way, turn around, do it that way. So there were so many problems associated with it. So I started building my own toilet in 2015. I took up this project and I was like, I will do the user experience of a toilet, and we will design a toilet which is focused on the user's needs. So we started talking to a lot of people. So we studied the evolution of toilets, right from the Roman ones to the rural pan, which is widely used under Swachh Bharat mission, to the Orissa pan, which is a flush integrated version, and to an English commode. So people say that this is very premium, we'll make this. But I was like, there are reports and you install this. Anyways, in the infrastructure which has been built in India, the twin pit, this can never be installed. Okay, so there is a limitation from the infrastructure point of view in the flushing, and the water. So you can never install this. So it'll be in this range. So I was like, how do you improve the squat toilet, the age-old squat toilet design which has not changed? So firstly, it was about understanding the user. Something I spoke about, perception. How people perceive squatting versus how people actually squat. So there was a interesting exercise that I did where I made about 500 to 600 people squat. And I started clicking and photographing them in the side view. So I started this back in 2015 in college when I was asking people just to squat, and I would take a side view and I would understand how people are squatting. We looked at different age groups. We looked at people with disabilities. We looked at people, how they function and how they react. And then I started revisiting those photos, and a lot of people were squatting on their toes. And I was like, why are people squatting on their toes? Then I tried it, I squat on my toes. So it was to do with the balance that you're trying to achieve, especially then we looked at anthropometric data of the human body. So different types of people, different people with knee problems, people who are fat, or people who are on the heavier side, people who are extremely tall. So we looked at how are people squatting. So we looked at the first thing in the user experience of a toilet as a squat pan has to be comfortable. How many of you have used an Indian toilet before in your life? Okay, great, my squatters are here. So how has the experience been? Have you ever made a face when you entered a loo and seen an Indian toilet and be like, shit, yaar, yahan to Indian hai. Right? And why is that? Why is that? Because I want to ask you, because you must be seen the transition from squat to sit down toilets.
So it's easy, right? I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Right.
Toilets.
Yeah.
When the Western toilets came, it was kind of fancy. It was actually you can read the newspapers. But the modern, when I go to a squat toilet now, I find them more dirty.
Right.
Compared to the Western toilet.
Right.
So I don't feel like going there.
Right. So see, these are the kind of issues. Whereas if you ask a girl if she's in a public setting, would she want to use or pee on an Indian one or a Western one in a public setting? A lot of girls said we would pee on the Indian one, right? Because it's more hygienic. So there were a lot of pros and cons, and we were looking at India. We were not looking at cities, but we were looking at the people on ground, who are getting a toilet and redesigning that. So we looked at different use cases. So the first one was understanding comfort. So what it does is we introduced an inclined plane on the surface of the toilet. What it does is when you squat, like when I squat right now, I'll be squatting on my toes because I'm trying to balance my CG. So this is what we changed by adding this inclined plane. So your center of gravity while squatting is much better, and the flexions on your knees, on your ankle and on your back have reduced load, and the pressure gets divided at all 3 points. So we were like, let's test this out with the most peculiar user. So we went to AFMC, and so we researched that who can be that user. So we went to an army hospital because army quarters usually have a squat toilet. We looked at a person who had hemiparesis. Okay, and I asked him, do you squat? So he said, yes, I squat. So I was like, and he can barely talk because he had hemiparesis. So I was like, why are you going through the trouble? So he said, no. I said, why don't you get a chair? Don't use my product. Why don't you use the Western one? It's make life easier for you. So he didn't say anything. Then human behavior is such, he came back to me when nobody was there and the cameras were not there, and he comes in and says, clear nahi hota boss. See, that's habit. And that was habit which was in him since he was growing up, and he's always been used to using a particular product. So we looked at this, that when he was squatting flat, he was bent forward, he had to hold on to something, and his ankles were off the ground. And this is him while he's squatting on one of our prototypes. And we have a video of this where he squats and he was like, will I fall? So I said, if you'll fall, don't try it. And he says, no, but I want to try it because every day I sit like this, in my loo. I hold on to something and I sit, so I want to try. And he squats and he starts smiling, okay, because he was not holding anything and he was just by himself. So that made him have an experience of just being comfortable. So that was one of the things. So this was our product in terms of comfort. Second was space, like I've been talking about how you came here, how you sat. So we looked at this is Kumbh. I was there in Kumbh. We installed about 5,000 units and launched our product at Kumbh. So there were 1 lakh toilets. So I did a challenge with the health department there and said, you just give me 5,000 toilets and let's see the comparison. And they said, how will you know the comparison? So I'll be on ground in 20 days. I'll do a recording completely of the toilets that you have and the toilets we have. Okay, so we started and we were like, so we actually sent them images of what the user must have done while he was using the toilet and where he must be squatting to actually poop somewhere there, you know. We were like, what was happening here? So these kind of references tell you that what the user was doing and how the user was behaving, and a large part of India, you know, Kumbh is visited by 30 million people. Just imagine this is one of the toilets at Kumbh. So we added the inclined plane, so now it's impossible to squat in the other direction. You cannot squat with your toes up. So no matter what you do, the drop area of your poo is defined because your heels are always going to be here. So you'll require much lesser water to flush it down right from the end when you're pooping at this end. Third was, so we were talking, like I said, innovation happens when you're talking to people, especially behavior. So we were talking to a lot of people. So somebody said a use case, and I would want to talk about it here. So I support a blind school. So I was talking to him, and he said, you know, you are designing toilets, right? There's a peculiar problem. I have some children, so they have their toilet fixed. You know, when they enter, they have their toilet fixed. But if some days that toilet is blocked, they go to another one. Okay. And if the counting is jumbled, they poop and soil the area because they are not able to identify after entering the toilet what point to stop and squat. So that was another use case that we tried, and we made the universal symbol of direction change on the pan itself, which told the users that this is the spot and from this point you have to turn. So we had a small workshop with those people and we tried it with the user. So these particular dots were actually indicative of the fact that, you know, you have to turn over here. Secondly, system. Now, a lot of innovation can be done, but the reality of it is what do you do on ground and how do you get it to people in a market where you know you are going to go rural, and so problems like easy to implement because I was not targeting 10 users, 15 users. We were targeting 450 million users, possibly. So how do you go to that scale? So we adapted, which was easy to implement. No special training to the mason. It was scalable, adaptable in different materials, accessible, hygienic, ensures behavior change, and most of all, low or one-time user curve because it will tell immediately to the user what way and how they have to use it. Looking at users, maintenance, and community, all 3 levels. So this was one of our installations at Kumbh. Yeah. So.
For centuries, people have been using the squat toilet. Squatting helps relieve the pressure and aid bowel movements as compared to sit-down toilets. But there are many challenges while using the conventional squat pan, like being uncomfortable and squatting on toes, having knee problems, and sometimes squatting in the wrong direction, resulting in dirty squat pants. We thought there had to be a better way. Introducing SquatEase. We studied all the problems with the conventional squat pan. And introduced an incline on the footrest of the pan, which results in comfortable squatting, good balance, fixed area for defecation, less water for cleaning. SquatEase has a gradual incline on the footrest with ridges for a good grip, along with universal direction change markings for the visually impaired. What began as a classroom project is now a mass manufactured product.
May I request Satyajit Mittal from Pune, who designed a squat toilet that is easily accessible for all, including the elderly and disabled, to come up and receive the award.
We installed over 5,000 SquatEase-enabled toilets at the Kumbh Mela 2019, which is one of the largest gatherings on earth. This diversity at Kumbh gave us the opportunity to observe how different users interact with a product and its space. We witnessed the impact of the unidirectional squat feature of SquatEase, which brings a change in the user behavior, resulting in much cleaner toilets, thus leaving the cleaning staff happy as well.
Towards a Swachh Bharat and a Swachh Kumbh. Yeah, that was. So, thank you. So a lot for, I'm just going to take 2 minutes because he's going to kick me off stage. But I just want to say a few things about the people who are there, that whatever you design, now it's not related to my product, but what I'm going to say is whatever you design, make sure you get it made and you understand going from this level to a product. And I urge people to go from a product to a scale and try doing that with all of the young people who are designing things. Don't just leave it on your screen. Think about all the aspects that you know of design that you've learned. Think about business, think about going to market, think about how, so this was one strategy that we took, was the 4 A's about awareness, availability, affordability and assurance in a product. And think about how you can go big with your idea. And about being relevant about what's happening around you. Be relevant about what is around you, what is the new thing, because that's going to give, see, I started this project, but a lot of people have come on board because it was relevant at that particular time and they felt, and I could align myself with a lot of people and I could learn from them going forward. So this was all about SquatEase, but I can go. So these are some of the awards, but so this is the founder of Sulabh, where we started our pilots with Sulabh, who made the twin pit technology, and he's the oldest, he's the guy who invented CLTS, the approach community-led total sanitation, Dr. Robert Chambers. So we look at SDGs as opportunities. Like I said, we are a for-profit company, but we focus on how we can deliver social good, and that's when I found my niche and I made Sanotion Private Limited, which is focused on designing products that improve life and serving the underserved with affordable and innovative solutions. And my next bet is to cater to the next billion users. Thank you so much.